taking the last lesson about Esther, because it have caught my attention just like it have caught yours too. So I would like us to learn another lesson according to the Esther's behavior or Esther's action. And today's lesson, it will be a place of isolation. A place of isolation is a place where an enemy can use to kill you, or you can use it to kill the enemy. So a place of isolation, it is a battleground. And this battleground, it's the one who is going to win is the one who prepared the place of isolation. So if it is the devil who prepared the place of isolation for you, he is going to win the battle. But if you are the one who prepared this place of isolation, you are going to win the battle. Let's read the book of Esther again. Esther 5, verse 3 up to verse 8. It says, "And the king said to her, 'What do you wish, Queen Esther? What is your request? It shall be given to you, up to half the kingdom.' So Esther answered, 'If it pleases the king, let the king and Haman come today to the banquet that I have prepared for him.' Then the king said, 'Bring Haman quickly, that he may do as Esther has said.' So the king and Haman went to the banquet that Esther had prepared. At the banquet of wine, the king said to Esther, 'What is your petition? It shall be granted to you. What is your request? Up to half the kingdom, it shall be done.' Then Esther answered and said, 'My petition and request is this: if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and it pleases the king to grant my petition and fulfill my request, then let the king and Haman come to the banquet which I will prepare for them, and tomorrow I will do as the king has said.'" Here we are going to learn about the wisdom of Esther and how she used the isolation method to pray the enemy back. The place of isolation is the place where you are taken, you as you, and what is going to judge your winning or your failure is the wisdom you are going to use to encounter your problem, or the bravery you are going to apply to encounter the problem or to fight your enemy back. Because the tendency of your enemy is always to take you high before letting you fall down. So if you are very caught about this high where the enemy is taking you and showing you all the kingdom, all the winning, all the possible ways that you are the winner, when he lets you fall, you won't be aware and you will lose or you will die. Because the point of high is to build a trust of you in yourself, to make you trust yourself, to believe that you have already won. Meanwhile, he is making another plan to let you fall. He is making you believe that it is your own power, or you can use your own power to win, to just finish the very last portion to win the game. And if you are not brave enough, or if you don't have wisdom enough, you are going to really fall into his trap, because you will depend on your own energy and you will do the very last portion that you think, okay, now it is only this one sentence which is left. If I say this sentence, then I'm going to win. And by the point you say that sentence, the last sentence that he wanted you to say, that he did set you up to say, you are going to lose, because you are not thinking into God level anymore. You are thinking into your own level. You are too much praising yourself, so you are going to let go. If it was another woman in Esther's place, the very first day that the king has given her permission to speak, and he even promised her half of the kingdom, it could have made her ego go high, or her pride go high, to see like, okay, I won already, because I got this king in my hand because he can't do anything against me, because we were in the bad time, but still he did hold the God scepter to allow me to come. It means he is weak. It means I can do whatever in front of this king. But that was also the trap of enemy, to take you high. Right from the beginning, I always say that the very method that God is going to use to elevate you, it is the very method that the enemy can use to put you down. That's why you have to walk with God in every step, because you have to overcheck. You have to overcheck your methods every time. Is this right? You have to negotiate with God and ask, is this right? Is this how you want me to act? Because what the Jews prayed and what Esther prayed for when they were fasting, it was a favor in front of the king. And God heard the prayers and he gave them a favor in front of the king. So the point that, or the fact that you have received the favor, it doesn't mean that you are going to finish your assignment blindly, or you are going to finish your assignment stupidly, or you are going to finish your assignment easily, because also the enemy don't want you to finish it, and he knew that this way God is going either to do this way, or he is going to do it this way, or he is going to do it this way. So he had put the traps in every step that you are going to go through. So if you will reach at some step and you be full of yourself, you're very proud of yourself, see as you did it yourself, it means you will start doing it the next step yourself without talking to God anymore. And if you do the next step without talking to God anymore, or without following God's instruction anymore, you are going to fall, because that is also the enemy can come into your high and attack you. During a very down moment or a very high moment, it is the moment that the enemy is going to attack you. The enemy cannot attack you in the beginning. So if Esther was another woman who has no wisdom, who has no the fear of God within herself, by this time when the king announced half of the kingdom, maybe her mind could have gone into the kingdom and think, okay, if I get half of the kingdom, it means I will have a say in the palace. So I will use this say to get rid of every signature that the king had made into Haman's paper. Or I will use this half kingdom power to take Haman out of my palace. And it could have not been succeeded, because you are given the half of the kingdom, but you are not the king. Still, the signatory point stays into the king, not to you. You are given half. You are not given the position to be a king. There is only one signatory in every palace. We can't have two people to put signature into this document, which are very high rated. So if you make the mistake of looking at the kingdom and forget to look at your mission, that made you go there first, the enemy will use the kingdom high, the palace, the half of the kingdom high, to make you fall. Because at the end of the day, you will get the palace, but you will lose your people. All the Jews will die because you don't have the tactic. You used your own mind. You used your own power to decide the next step. But if it could have been another woman, not Esther, not me, not you. If it could have been another woman, we don't know which is this woman, maybe she could have said, right when she was given permission to speak in front of all court members, without considering that I have a favor in front of king, but I don't have a favor in front of king's people. So by the time I'm going to say it in front of these people, maybe all of them they are here because of Haman, and they are going to stand in the side of Haman. So he will have defenders, and these defenders will defend him, and it will turn up to me. So Esther used isolation method, which is going to be me and my enemy, and the one who is going to decide which is the king. Even you, sometimes when you get some of problems in your life, or you are going through something and you need someone to decide which is God, it is you and devil going in front of God. It is not the society. It is not the majority. It is not people. So the moment you feel like saying your problem in a social media, it means you have failed. You have talked about your Haman in front of king and the court's member, and you don't know which side these court's members are, because you can die right there, because you don't know the influence of this court member to the king, and you don't know the influence of Haman to the court's member. And always majority have power, because the king can decide something else, but the majority can decide something else. The king has no power to use only one vote of himself to defend his own woman. That's why even getting rid of Vashti, it wasn't his own decision. It was the court decision. It was majority's decision. So Esther was a woman of wisdom, because first in her head, she had to think about this. Before going there, remember, she had this burden of unknown. Is he going to allow me to go there, or am I going to get killed? So at that moment, she was only dealing with this dilemma of unknown. If I'm going to get killed, or the king is going to give me a favor to speak in front of him. So she didn't even think about the next step. She was only thinking about the favor, the favor, the favor. And when the favor came, it means you have to decide immediately. And this is the high we are talking about. When the high comes, many of people, they decide according to the feelings. So Esther did not get into her feelings. She didn't decide according to the feelings, but she decided according to the reality. The reality is, I'm the only Jew woman standing right here, and I want to talk against Haman, who have a favor of all the people who are trying to defend their country, which now is full of Jew people. And if I talk right here, I don't know what my Jew people have been doing in the society. Maybe I'm the only one and my father, we are doing the right thing. And I don't know this majority's feelings against the Jew people. So the only fact of me saying anything right here can get me killed, and I won't save my people, regardless the favor that God has given me. So when God gives you a favor, He doesn't mean you should decide according to your feeling. He doesn't mean that you should decide in a mediocrity. He doesn't mean that you should slip into your feelings. He needs you to be in a reality, because we are living in the real world. Not everybody have a clean spirit. Not everybody have a dirty spirit. And the king has no power to change the mind and the feelings of the people. So it is going to be me and the enemy and the king. So whether the king will decide according to the feeling, but I need to remove the influence from outside. I want him to decide rightly without being influenced by anyone. Okay, you will ask, if her target was to take the king and the Haman in isolation place, why didn't she speak in the first in the first banquet that the king allowed her to prepare, because she was still trying to see her environment. I have a favor in my king, but what about the environment around me? Because I'm very clear this is my enemy and he is very brave, more than me. He can think very fast, more than me. So I have to make sure the environment I am in, it is really three of us. There is no one else who is involved. You have to make sure you understand your problem clearly before going to God and say your problem. Because if you are not clear, you will start saying anything that's coming in your head. A prayer of 10 minutes can last for 1 hour and you'll be talking nonsense because you also are not clear about your problem. And the distraction will be too much to the problem to the point that you start talking about things that don't even bother you. You are talking about your feelings. You are talking about how you are feeling right now. You are talking about how you think you could have reacted. You are talking about how you wanted it to be. Forgetting that what is facing me right now, what is the danger is going to happen if I don't solve it right now. God, if you are not going to raise your hand on this right now, what is going to happen? But you go there, you start talking about your poverty, you start to talking about your lack of knowledge, you start talking about your isolation, you start to talk about very small things instead of going to the main point that makes you have all these problems. Because the problems are like the kids. You have one big problem which bonds all these other small problems. So you need to be clear. What is it? What is it that I need really strength of God to overcome? If I get rid of this, I know it will come out with all of my problems. My problem is I'm a prostitute, for example. Or my problem is I am a thief. Or my problem is I lack self-esteem. My problem is I don't have confidence. But these are the result of one big problem. What do you think could make you stop being a prostitute? And what do you think at the same time could make you stop having low esteem? And what do you think it will boost your confidence? Maybe my financial status, maybe my economic. So when you go to talk to God, you talk about your financial problem, because you know if God solves your financial problem, all this prostitution that you're doing to get the money, all this lack of self-confidence because you think you don't have what other people have, they will go away automatically. So Esther, she made sure that Haman was alone and the king was alone. There was no outside influence. This was the function of the second day of the meeting with the king and Haman, to make sure, is he coming alone? What is the relationship of Haman and king? How would they be acting in front of me when we are together, three of us? Because I can say it, but I don't know these 30 days when I was far away from my husband, when I wasn't having a contact with my husband, what influence did he gain from my husband? So I can really see it if I sit with them 2 days in a banquet. I will see how will he be reacting. There are these kind of men when maybe you can go out with your husband and he have his friend, and you will see your husband is interested talking with his friends or other men more than he is interested to talk about you. This is when you have to see what is it that makes him not interested to me in front of people. What is it? And when you are two, the two of you, he is acting very close to you. Maybe because he don't have another company. That's why he is acting this way. So you really have to measure this also. How is he going to act when we are three of us? Which side is he going to be in? Is he going to be neutral? If he is going to be neutral, he don't have side. He talks to Haman and he talks to me also. It means that even when I present my case, he will judge it rightly because he is not drawn to one side. He is in both sides. So that is when Esther knew that, okay, my king is still my king's judgment is still intact. He still don't have sides. So it is time for me to tell him what's going on in the next banquet, because I know he will be the same as he is today. Because I know Haman will come also alone. He won't come with another companion. And the king also will be alone. So the judgment will be the judgment of rights. So the fact that you got a favor, it doesn't mean you already won the war. You have to use a heavenly wisdom to finish the last part, because the last part is as difficult as the first part. The beginning is difficult, but the finishing point also is very difficult, because also the enemy can sit into your heart and make you very proud enough not to hold on into what's remaining, and then you will fall and start it again. Starting again is not a problem, but the timing of starting again is what brings the problem. Will this rhetor of Haman wait for me to start again to win the trust of the king? I may win the trust of king again, but what about my people? They have a due date to die. Would it be waiting for me to build this trust again so I can come against it? So when you are given one chance, you have to judge, or you have to act within God's limit or within God's direction. Because one step wrong, you are going to fall down, and all the power you have put in it, it will go in vain. All the journey, all the tiredness will go in vain, because you tried to decide into or to depend into your own power in one step. So make sure all the steps are being led by God. The steps of faithful man are directed by God. So the steps of Esther was directed by God because she was obedient and she was patient, and she didn't use her ego or her anger against Haman to solve problem. But she was living in a reality that the reality is, he is my husband and he loves me. But the other reality, he is a king and he have to win influence of his people. And the other reality, Haman is his right-hand man and he have as big influence than me, because this, what Haman is doing with the king, is for the nation. And what I'm doing with the king is for the love. My love may be strong to conquer the king, but is his love strong enough to fight by myself? Or is he having the same power when it comes to love as it comes to nation? Because he is living in the system. So I need to avoid the system if I want him to act into my favor. And how am I going to avoid the system? I'm going to take him in a place of isolation. Just like how the enemy took me in a place of isolation by isolating me from my husband, isolating me from the people, isolating me from my people, because now I'm in a palace. I cannot interact with my Jews. I cannot interact with my father. I cannot interact with the outside. And the king also now is isolating me. So I'm in a point of isolation. If I act in desperation, I'm going to lose. So that was the isolation that the enemy used against Esther. And Esther also used isolation to win the enemy. So the point of isolation can be used to win by any side which is seeing the situation in reality, not by feelings. So whoever can be able to face the reality would be able to take his enemy to a place of isolation and win the battle. So by the moment you are staying and crying into your feeling, oh, God has forgotten me, your enemy is looking at the reality, and he is providing the environment to take you into high or to take you into isolation and kill you. Try to stay always very conscious and try to see your environment. Am I in isolation or am I into high? Because these are the only point that the enemy can use to kill me, either in isolation or in high. Am I in isolation? Did I put myself in this isolation? Yes. What am I going to win? What am I trying to win against the enemy in this isolation? This and this and this. Am I in a high? Yes. Did I succeed to take my enemy in a high? Yes, I succeeded. So what is the next step I'm going to use to make him fall down? Use his own technique against himself. And nothing will be so difficult to encounter, only if you have God and you are walking into his territory, because he will lead you blindly sometimes. He will provide you wisdom beside your nasty self, your bad self, your egoistic self. But when it comes to a point that you succeeded to take your enemy into a high, God will give you a wisdom, even 2 minutes. And this wisdom will help you to finish the game, because the finish line is everything and the starting line is everything. So if you want to start alone and catch up with God in the finish line, it will be difficult. And if you want to start with God and finish alone in a finish line, also it is going to get difficult. So you have to walk with him all the way, regardless how hard is the battle, regardless how easy the battle looks in front of you, because the enemy is going to make you see like it is a very easy battle. Oh, I already won. Just like Esther, when she got a favor in front of the king, it was very easy for enemy to blind her and to make her feel like I have already accomplished, so I'm going to say it right now, and it would have been a death of her. You need God in every step, so he can show you the possibilities that the enemy can use to fight you, and he can provide you with the wisdom how to pray along, how to finish this game. Thank you. I hope to see you again in the next session. God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. And don't forget to comment and question anything. Have a blessed Sunday.